let's make it in the hoop ornament. So with Beach Potato Embroideries ornaments, I like to use Pellon Peltec 70. This is a firm, stiff interfacing that we're just going to tape in place. Now we're going to take this back to the embroidery machine and tack down the Pellon. Now that the Pellon's done, we're going to take off our tape and we're going to trim around the edge. You're going to get as close to that stitch line as possible. You might cut a few stitches, that's okay. It's fabric is going to be tacked down after this. We're just trying to get a clean cut. I make this close to that main stitch line, but it's not on it, so there's not a lot of bulk in that main seam. This is going to be covered by a satin stitch. It helps when you keep your scissors flat or on a slight angle. Don't point downwards with them. And get as close to the edge as you possibly can. And this is what it will look like. For step 3, we're going to use our Beach Potato Embroidery glitter fabric. This is actually fabric, it's not vinyl. It does have a cloth backing, there's no heat transfer, so we're going to use some tape to stick it in place. This is just a temporary hold it down. The embroidery machine is going to tack it down. Now it's time to trim this glitter fabric. If you hold it close and you pull on it, it helps you get right in there and get very close to that stitch line without snipping the stitches. The machine will eventually come back over and do a satin stitch, so the color of the thread does not matter at this point. Now that color is done, we're going to add the base of our ornament, and we're going to take this back to the machine. Now we're going to trim to the stitch line again, getting as close to the stitches as possible without cutting them. All right, we're going to place our next fabric over the top of the ornament. It'll cover the whole ornament again. I decided to repeat the gold, but you can change it to whatever color you like. Now we're going to trim the fabric to the stitch line again. Now we have our last little bit of applique, which is going to be a star. So we're going to cut out a piece of green glitter and put that on top of our ornament. All right, let's take this back to the machine and get this stitched down. Now we're going to trim the last bit of applique, so we're going to cut as close as we can to the edge to cut out this star. Now that our star is cut out, we're going to return to the machine and start doing satin stitches. Now would be the time if you wanted to add a name or an initial or something. You can put something in the center of the star of your own design to add to it. If not, we'll move on to the next step, which is adding the backing to it. So we're going to cut out a piece of glitter to cover the whole back side. I typically trim my threads around here so they don't get in the way of the stitch field. All right, so now we add our backing and tape that in place. Now the ornament's taped in place, we can actually see from the other side that it's covering the entirety of the ornament. Now it's time to trim the back side of the ornament. Get as close as you can to the stitches without cutting them. This is the back side of the ornament all trimmed out. It's all ready to go. I'm going to flip the hoop over to the front, and now the color of the thread does matter. We're going to wind a bobbin of gold to be able to match the front and the back with the top and bobbin thread, and then we're also going to do a red bobbin and a red top thread for the top here. Now we're going to wind one more bobbin for the last step. This is what the back of the hoop looks like. I trimmed off a couple threads, and this is the front. Now we're going to put it back into place and switch out that bobbin. And this is the final design. I just took a Q-tip, I ran it under water around the water-soluble stabilizer on the edge of the ornament. It pops right out that way without getting the ornament too soaked, and it's all done.